Yeah, so Liz, it's amazing to have you today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jamie.
I really wanted to kick off with you because I think your story resonates with so many people. And when you said it to me, part of me was a little bit surprised and part of me was a little bit shocked that you've actually created a job sharing platform, which you're going to talk about in a bit more detail.
Yeah.
Because you were forced to make a choice. It's 2021 and you were forced to make a choice. Yeah. It was either flexibility, part-time hours, and you took a major hit on career and pay and all these other things, or you opted for the career and you took a hit on your personal life, as in the kids and being a mum. So, I mean, I want to know more about that because I don't think people expect to hear those kind of conversations in 2021 that you're actually choosing.
Yeah, this is so common, and unfortunately, my situation is not rare. So as I was saying to you, I was made redundant from my role in September 2020. So I was one of the COVID economic victims. I have two small children. So my children are 2 and 3, and I was fortunate to be working part-time in my previous role, and I just couldn't find another part-time role. And I knew I wanted to continue working part-time whilst my children were little, and I got approached by recruiters. They rang me quite regularly, but as soon as I said I wanted part-time,
the phone went dead.
The phone went dead, basically. I was ghosted, or they just straight away said no, they're all full-time only.
We're not going to call them out though. Luckily for them, we're not mentioning any names.
No mention names, but so it was really frustrating. And like I said, I'm not a rare case. My friend, this is something different. She's a teacher. And this is a really good example. She left her job after her second baby and tried to get another one, couldn't get another part-time teaching job, and she's now working as an administrator in a nursery at £10 an hour, and there's no quality part-time jobs, and I think that's a huge contributor to the gender pay gap, because it's quite hard often to get reduced hours at your current employer. A lot of women have to go through quite a few hoops before their employer grants them flexible or part-time work. And I think that is key to retaining women in the workplace. And I think there's an additional problem in that women, that are fortunate to get part-time work or flexible work, come back. But as a recruiter, you know as well as I, Jamie, that the best way to get a pay rise is to switch jobs. And if there's no other jobs in your external market offering the same flexible terms, then women stay put. I think that's another reason why that pay gap starts to widen. So even if they stay in work, they can't move anywhere else to potentially get a pay rise down the line.
Do you think it's more about, because obviously I get what the website's going to do. We're going to talk about it later because I know you've put together some offers and stuff for people to use the site, which is really cool. But it's interesting, before we hit record, obviously we were having a chat. I mean, it's not changed really, I've just hit record, but you were talking about more from an education standpoint.
Yeah.
You actually want the site to be more than just somebody posting a job and saying, look, this is part-time. Yes, that's great. I mean, that's going to feed the site. That's what you need. But ultimately, you're viewing this not from just a, kind of a solution standpoint. You're actually trying to educate people into why you would want part-time people. What are some of the benefits? How is the site actually, how are you going to do that through this site? Because maybe that's where people posting are going to be part of this as well, no?
Yes, I mean, there's obviously a lot of blog posts that are aimed at employers on why part-time benefits their business, but I mean, there's a lot of studies that show that part-time employees are some of the most productive employees in the workforce. Productivity peaks around 30 hours a week, and I'm sure I've worked with mums in the past, and they are phenomenal. They're just like machines. They come in, they get on. This was before I had kids, so I was not as stronger work ethic as them at that time, but they would just come in, they just work, they focus, they were the biggest billers, you know, because I'm an recruiter as well, they were the biggest billers in the team, and they would finish bang on 4:30, and they were still making more money than anyone else because they are focused. They know that they've got a deadline to hit, and that deadline is to go home and pick up their kids. And it's the same sort of feeling as, you know, when you're on the last day of work before holiday, how productive are you because you've got that deadline? And it's sort of, parents are working to those deadlines all the time because it's so expensive if your kid stays late at nursery, if you miss pick up, for example. So yeah, I hope that eventually part-time isn't just women, men embrace it as well, and flexible works. I think both genders need to embrace it and do it, and then there'll be less of a stigma that it is something just women do. But like the Nordic countries, they've got like, you know, 30-35-hour weeks, and they're one of the most productive countries in the world, and they've got their work-life balance sorted.
I think that's what I know. This range of like chats that I'm having is about women in tech or women that are doing things, but I mean, I think you've made a valid point. Part-time isn't necessarily driven by you having to be female. We're talking because you've started something, you saw a problem, and you're you're trying to do a little bit more than just go, okay, you're actually creating something to put an end to it. I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting is, I think it's great you're doing something good. I mean, hurrah for that. But ultimately, from a recruiter's standpoint, they're going to want to know that if they are getting part-time jobs or they're getting roles with flexibility, home working, because your site's going to cover all of this. It's not just
anything that's to do like flexibly working, and that can be home working, or even a position that has a bit of home working, you know, where someone's not expected to be in the office 5 days a week, basically.
Yeah, and they want to know they can come somewhere, post, and they're actually going to get a good reply, because we can't get away from the fact that a lot of job boards now try and target everybody. They're so like generic, you know, that you kind of post your advert and everybody applies. I guess this really kind of awesome thing about what you're doing is people are only here for a reason. They're here either for flexibility, part-time, or home working.
And it's also niche. It's also sector specific. So I knew, this is from my own recruitment experience, I know that it's easier, actually from my perspective, to niche. But also I think you get a higher quality candidate if you niche as well, so you're not going to get anyone and everybody applying for your role. So from a recruiter perspective, it's better.
So tell us about some of
these. So the niches that it's going to focus on are financial services, and that will encompass, you know, banks, asset management firms, private equity, insurance, legal, and fintech and consulting. So it's basically financial and professional services. So hopefully I've not missed any. Accounting, did I say that?
Yeah, no, we've got that. No, I think, you know, ultimately people are going to know whether this is the right board to be posting on. It's a small kind of little pool. They know where they're going. So more importantly, someone's starting to post, you know, recruiters are starting to talk to employers and say, look, listen, these are the benefits. You know, we've spoken about part-time a lot. You know, flexibility comes in tons of different ways, not hours. Although I'm definitely pro 30 hours.
There's like job share. You have to emphasize job shares on there.
Job shares, right.
Yeah, working from home. Things like flexi time. So if your job that you're recruited for will offer 9-day fortnights, things like that.
So really, your site is not only going to be somewhere where people can post a job, but ultimately it's going to be where recruiters are going to be able to send their clients. They're going to be able to use some of the posts and the blogs that you're putting up, some of these bigger conversations that actually talk around the benefits, the financial benefits, but more importantly, productivity. You know, we were talking earlier about sustainability in the life cycle of somebody working part-time hours is far greater. What would you say, you know, are some of the big benefits that as recruiters we should be talking about around flexibility and part-time hours? Because I think it's a bit like saying, well, look at this cool pen, buy it. Someone's like, you know, I think it's we need to start doing a little bit more. We need to start, because I think if we're approaching it, they're a mum and they want part-time, you know, where's the benefit?
Where's the benefit?
Whereas if someone said to me, look, you know, we know 30 hours is A, super productive, B, we know X, Y, Z. Suddenly I'm kind of like, yeah, all right.
A bit more interested. Yeah. I mean, I've written them all down. Just sort of my head, like you get less staff turnover, which, you know, it's obviously cheaper for an employer in the long run because they've got less recruitment costs, less training.
Money's expensive.
Yeah. Less, I've said less staff turnover, less staff absence. As well. Also, if you're recruiting home-based roles, you can recruit from a wider geography. So you can reach a wider talent pool as well. You're not closing yourself off. And also, there's a lot of studies that show that companies with diverse boards and senior management level individuals are a lot more profitable than those organizations that, you know, aren't very diverse.
Like trying to choose words carefully. It's like,
so I'm choosing my words carefully. So as a company, you're going to get left behind if you don't embrace diversity. And actually, this is something that's a little bit digressing, but I'll tell you a quick story. When I was younger, I worked, you know, in the department stores, spray and perfume.
Yeah.
You know, the promoters that waited for you like and pounced on you at the top of the escalators. And I used to spray aftershave. It was all men's fragrance, and we were taught at the time that you should spray it on the little cards and give it to the women,
right?
They are the ones that make the purchasing decisions. And actually that has stuck with me, because even now, you know, me and my husband, we moved house last year, and it was ultimately me that said, I want to buy this house. You know, he will not like this, but we'll check out the car together. And I'll be like, no, I think it, you know. So actually customer companies need to think about who their end consumers are as well. So I definitely think there needs to be more senior female talent in these organizations, so they can speak more directly to their consumers who aren't always going to be male.
And I think this is interesting. I think like there's definitely a shift happening. Like I can see it even from clients that we're working with, senior level directors, but more importantly, some really, really of the cool kind of startups. It's either really, really cool people that are just pro doing good business, or it's really, really awesome women just kind of saying, actually, we're going to do it a little bit different. And they're getting amazing results. But I think ultimately it's this whole part-time thing, this whole flexibility. I think interestingly, we've focused a lot on mums. We've focused a lot on it being part-time. But I wonder if some of it, we need to just wake up to the fact that some of this is the shift that we're moving into. Like,
I hope so. Do you know what I did? So the standard 8 hour day was like came into force, you know, Henry Ford in his mass production factory. So like the Industrial Revolution. Before that, people would work as families together in the fields and the weavers' cottages. And then it suddenly became a lot more sort of formal. But I think hopefully the pandemic has maybe shifted again, and we've gone through the next industrial revolution because of the pandemic. And now this might be our chance to change and make it better for everybody. It's not just better for women, it's got to be better for everybody, and then it's better for family, society, for all of us. So hopefully this pandemic in the long run will be good for a lot of individuals.
We've definitely focused on the women, on the mums and stuff, but ultimately you've hit the nail on the head. Actually, flexibility benefits everybody. It doesn't, you know, everyone's welcome to enter the world of flexibility.
Oh, 100%. I mean,
it's a really
just
sweet space to be. It's you know, like, I don't have kids, I mean, but I have got 3 2-hours, and I mean, I feel like a parent to them most of the time because they are demanding. I mean, you know,
you want to walk the, you know, you'll have hobbies. You have a life,
you know, and I joke about the dogs, but I mean, so many people, it could be hobbies, it could be learning languages, it could be kids. I mean,
volunteering.
We've kind of totally discovered that we're not living to work. We want more of is that the right saying? We don't want to live to work. We want more than just work. We're kind of actually saying, give me a cool job. I want to work with nice people. But actually, some of it, we then want that money. We want that kind of happiness to kind of spew into the other bits that we're doing. You know, have you ever seen that circle and they show it like, and it's about trying to find balance in every area. So it's like work, friends, health, and ultimately that's kind of what flexibility, I think, brings. Do you think, though, and I've experienced it, that flexibility needs to be managed slightly better? Because I do feel at the moment it's like we're trying to throw one system at everybody. You know, we're trying to sort of combat all flexibility into one pot. And I've definitely noticed that when I speak to people, they're like, yeah, we probably could be flexible. Like, I don't see it in many actual kind of employment like contracts. I don't see it made up like verbally as part of things. It definitely seems to still be a bit more like slap happy. It seems to be
there's nothing for. Do you know what, maybe this is what needs, so you have obviously HR directors, don't you? I did see something quite interesting, that this could be the new job role of the future, remote working directors in organizations, or flexible working directors. So that is probably something that needs to be maybe a bit more formalized and standardized in certain organizations. But I guess it's like having a bit more of an honest conversation on what works for employers and employees. And
I think that's the key, because
I think this pandemic has given people that opportunity. It has,
hasn't it? That's what.
We've had to push back the curtain, show we've all got messy lives. We've got other commitments. We've seen so many Zoom videos, haven't we, of kids walking in that have gone viral. Cats or something like walking across the desk. We've had a real glimpse into people's lives, and I think actually, in a weird way, it's made people seem more human.
I definitely think so. I think I always joke and say for, COVID has been the biggest change in recruitment since the CRM system, in the sense that even the profile pictures people are using are less formal, the way people are messaging. And there's something super nice about having a chat with somebody and they're in their house, you're in your house, and, it's kind of a glimpse into each other's lives. And suddenly, I know LinkedIn got a little bit of a bad rep for it by some people, aka kind of LinkedIn police, that, this is social, this isn't Facebook. For me, I think, I think people really started coming alive with that element of flexibility. I do think that we're going to go through another transition. I don't think we're quite there yet, because ultimately what we've experienced is one of kind of two flips, right? We've seen on one side, we've got to be in the office all the time. The other side, we've seen that we're home working because everything is shut. And I think that this is where I think for me, flexibility hasn't even peaked its amazingness yet, because I think flexibility counts when the world has returned to whatever normal will look like.
And then how is that going to return? Will people then feel the pressure to go back and put in that FaceTime? And or will companies encourage that? And I have written an article on that when the world does go back to normal, we as individuals, all of us, need the senior people in these organizations to set the example. To not be in the office 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, because I think that it's going to have to come ultimately from them. And I heard something else that's really good about how to make people feel more comfortable about leaving on time. And people that leave early for whatever reason should start, if they have the confidence, to leave loudly, and then other people feel comfortable doing the same, so they don't sort of run out the office.
And I think this is where it's interesting, because I think it's also flexibility, not just flexibility, but across anything. I think it also really kind of shows the importance of hiring the right people. And I think that sometimes that's going to be somebody full-time, somebody, sometimes it's going to be a job share, sometimes it's going to be something that maybe is new to both sides. I think ultimately recruitment for me isn't about the gender. It's not about the name on the CV. It's not about where somebody came from. Recruitment, what I love about it is that for me, recruitment's fair game for anybody. If we're recruiting and it comes down to personality, then we're not going to take anything else into account. We just want to see personality. If it's about experience because it's leading a team, we just want to see that experience. And I think that platforms like yours is really going to take us back to our roots of what recruitment should be. Recruitment should be fair game for what's right for that role, organisation and that person, not people missing out because they want a little bit of flexibility, or they're missing out because they're doing a school run or something. I think, I think we need to start talking about that more as well. So tell us about, because you're going to do something really, really cool, which I think is awesome. I've already kind of opted. Like, as soon as you said it, I was like, I've got some jobs to put on.
I know, we had a really good chat. We got really excited, didn't we?
Yeah. So, but you're going to do something really, really awesome, which I don't know any other job board that is doing this. You're actually opening, because the site launches in
a couple of weeks, hopefully. So it's getting transformed. I don't know when this airs, but we know it's being transformed this week. I can't remember, it's the 4th or 5th of May today. But yeah, so hopefully by the time this airs, it'll be there. So it's investinginwomen.co.uk, and we've had a chat. It's going to be free to advertise on for the first 6 weeks, and free obviously for employers and agencies to advertise their flexible roles. And we've talked that flexibility can come in all sorts of guises, and then after that it will move on to a beta price, which is penciled in at £99 a job slot, and then £149 for a premium slot, which gets a few more bells and whistles attached to it. And then you can also purchase multi-slots as well, which is 5 jobs for the price of 4. But as we said, it's free to post initially, and you don't need to enter any credit card details. There's no contracts. Just have a try and see what you think.
But we also want a few people who have maybe watched this and they've got either, because let's be crystal clear here, it could be the job is part-time, it could be that it's flexible, it could be that it's home working. It's anything with an element of flexibility can go on, as long as it's in one of the sectors that we've spoken about. I know recruitment is also a sector on there. Yeah,
there's going to be a recruitment category on there as well. So if you've got any recruitment jobs, also admin, so if you've got you've got 2. There's admin, so even if you've got like a recruitment admin job, then
so we want a couple of people who have watched this, and because you need a few adverts from live sources to go on, just as like a little trial to make sure.
I need a few people to try it, to pilot it, to check that there's no bugs, and check how easy it is to use, because it's obviously easy to fix now.
It might as well be jobs as well, right? I mean, real life users. And as a thank you, you're actually going to extend their ability to use the platform for free. So I guess if anyone's watching this and there's a couple of people who want to, or they've got relevant
to advertise early. So I'm looking for I'm looking for people to pilot it next week. So I don't know if that's and then it will launch for free to everyone probably the week after.
Yeah, awesome. Amazing. Well, I love what you're doing. I think, and I want to speak to you because, like, you're so, for you, it's all kind of worked out well in that you're doing something you love. But I do think it's crazy when you told me, whilst we all know it happens, we all know it goes on, when you physically kind of speak to someone and you get on with them and they're kind of saying to you, Jamie, listen, I've done this because this is the only option I had. It's a massive eye-opener. I mean, it's, it goes on, it happens.
I hope ultimately this job board challenges the status quo. Because in my recruitment experience, I have never recruited a part-time employee, and I've recruited hundreds, if not thousands, of candidates, both agency and in-house, never recruited a part-time. But I have been as guilty for that as anybody, because I've never questioned, can this role be done part-time? And I think that's what we all as individuals have to do, is question the status quo.
And offer. And I think I think everything starts with conversation. I always say a recruiter is a conversation starter. And, it's very easy to start conversations in things that either we like or we feel very confident at. But I think it's nice to start conversations in areas. And let's be honest, let's also put it back to like those driven by wanting to make placements and be a good recruiter. By opening up something part-time or with flexibility, we're increasing our placement opportunity here. Let's put it back just to pure business for a second.
You widen up your potential talent pool.
Yeah, we are, you know, and even as a Rec2Rec, I've seen this since COVID, not when COVID first hit, that was drastic. We won't go there. I mean,
that's a bit too painful.
But we're over that, you know. But I mean, even now, you know, I would definitely say out of the last few placements we've made, they have been made because of flexibility. Maybe they live that extra half an hour outside of London, but they're coming in, or they will start going in because it's 3 days a week, not 5 days.
Yeah, as opposed to 5.
And, you know, the client's winning because they're getting who they want. They're getting a proven bill. I mean, I'm referring this to recruitment, you know, feel free.
Yeah, but they're getting the candidate they want, aren't they?
Yeah, link that to whatever industry you're in. That's your point here, you know. So yes, on one side, it's an education piece. It's just good business. And I'm a fan of good business. On the other hand, from actually recruiters, if they're thinking, cool, you know what, you know, let's say the site's up and running, it's not free anymore, but actually we're still pulling it back to being a good investment, because ultimately we're broadening out, we're making more placements, we're making more money. It's another avenue. And I think the biggest thing, you know, everyone loves buy local, whatever it is. Ultimately, some of these big job boards are too big to really care anymore, whereas you are driving this through a passion of change and people succeeding. And I think that's also, you know, that's important as well, right? I mean, that's part of this journey for the board, for you and everything else. Last thing I want to touch on, what are you doing? We've spoken all about recruitment agencies, tons of people also in my network that are maybe more on the TA side, so they're actually working for organisations, they're not an agency. The board is just as set up for these guys as well.
So there's going to be 2 funnels. So like I said, it's open to agencies and direct employers, and depending on who you are, you sort of will go up 2 different funnels when you post your job. If you're a direct employer, it's a really good opportunity for you to create a landing page and talk about all the brilliant initiatives that you have in place to support more gender equality in your workplace, and you can add images, write about your testimonials and awards. And again, for agencies as well, create a really nice landing page for them, which you can have linking back to your website. You can put on images, talk about how you're supporting your clients, meet their diversity targets, and any awards, testimonials, etc. that you've got as well.
And landing pages, all things like this, so powerful now to give somebody online presence to be able to show, especially to show things like culture. We're so used to talking about culture. You know, what I love about pages that show it is people actually having fun. And, you know, okay, no one's wearing a t-shirt that says I'm part-time, but you can kind of see if people are having
you get a feel for like how corporate.
Yeah, you know, if people are kind of got, you know, just, I don't know, just being themselves, you kind of see that in pictures. You know, when someone's forced to photograph and they're like smiling, but you really know behind the scenes they're trembling. So I love that. I'm all for like showing culture and stuff. I think that's a real great step forward. I have to say, Liz, it's been amazing. We've spoken obviously loads of times before now.
I know, I've loved chatting to you. Thank you, Jamie.
I love what you're doing. Thank you so much. And I think the last thing we want to say is we still want a couple of people to reach out to you to pilot your jobs onto the site. So to connect with you and to do that.
You can get me on LinkedIn.
On a bigger spectrum, it is free for people to post. So actually what we're asking, all we're saying to people is give it a go, to log in, create yourself a little account and get posting and start sharing those jobs.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. I'm not going to wave. Like I've seen waving on like online get so much stick, so I'm going to hold my hand down while I end the Zoom. But it's been amazing talking to you, and I love what you're doing. And
thank you. Thank you. All right.
See you soon. Bye, Liz.
Bye.